Your wife is never satisfied. You've noticed that. No matter how hard you try, how much you give, how much you sacrifice, there's always something missing. Always a criticism, always a new demand. And you're exhausted. But here's the truth nobody told you. The problem isn't how much you do, it's how you interpret what she does. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why her dissatisfaction isn't a personal attack, but rather a constant testing mechanism that you unknowingly are negatively reinforcing every time you give in. And I'm going to give you the exact roadmap to reverse this dynamic, regain your respect, and create the polarity she unconsciously seeks. But first, you need to accept an uncomfortable truth. You've been taught to believe that the more you try to please her, the more satisfied she'll be. That's the big lie. The belief that love means infinite sacrifice. That being a good man means being an obliging servant. That giving in to her demands will bring peace and gratitude. You bought into that idea, and now you're paying the price. Because reality works the opposite way. Sustainable female satisfaction doesn't come from a man who gives in to every demand, but from someone with a strong frame, who sets boundaries, leads with purpose, and inspires respect. She doesn't want a servant. She wants a man. And every time you act like a servant, her dissatisfaction grows. Why? Because you're failing the most basic test of all. Here's the core thesis. Her dissatisfaction is an emotional thermostat that never stabilizes. She constantly seeks an ideal temperature, a mix of excitement, security, challenge, and novelty. And you, trying to fix the thermostat at a specific temperature, are burning yourself out or freezing in the process. You can't control her thermostat, but you can adjust your own heat and pressure to influence the environment. When you try to control her temperature directly, you lose. When you control your own energy, you lead. I'm now going to name the patterns that are destroying your relationship. First, reframing dissatisfaction. This means interpreting every complaint, every test, every demand as what it truly is. A test of boundaries and value, not a personal failure on your part. When she complains about the time you spend on your hobby, she's not attacking the hobby. She's testing your priorities, checking if you have enough backbone to maintain what's important to you. If you abandon the hobby to please her, you've failed the test. She loses respect. Dissatisfaction increases. Second, setting firm boundaries. This means communicating and enforcing what is acceptable and unacceptable, not with aggression, but with unwavering clarity. Concrete example, she starts yelling during an argument. You don't yell back, you don't cower. You say, "I won't discuss this when you're yelling. We can resume the conversation when we're both calm." And you remove yourself. Physically, you're not punishing, you're protecting your space and establishing the standard for acceptable communication. She might get more upset in the moment, but something shifts. You've just demonstrated that you have boundaries, and boundaries create respect. Third, maintaining your masculine frame. Your frame is your structure, your perspective, your dominant reality in any interaction. When she tries to drag you into emotional drama, into guilt, into endless justification, you maintain your frame. You are not dragged in. She says you never do anything for her. You know that's not true. You calmly state the facts. I did X, Y, and Z this week. If you're not satisfied, we can talk about what's really bothering you, but I won't accept that accusation. You're not fighting. You're anchoring reality. The one who maintains their frame leads the dynamic. Fourth, strategic disinvestment. When there's chronic dissatisfaction without real cause, when there's a lack of reciprocity, you redirect your energy. She constantly complains about your help around the house, saying you never do it right. You don't double your effort trying to please her. You maintain the agreed-upon basics, but you stop killing yourself trying to prove your worth. You invest that energy into your own projects, your health, your growth, and something curious happens. Your perceived value increases. You become less available, less predictable. Her thermostat starts to react differently. Fifth, calibrated reward. You don't offer recognition and affection reactively, trying to buy peace. You reward behaviors that strengthen the relationship. When she shows genuine appreciation, respect, constructive vulnerability, you respond with full presence and affection. When she's in test or attack mode, you maintain emotional distance. You're not being cruel, you're conditioning the dynamic. You're teaching through your actions what works and what doesn't. Sixth, polarized leadership. You take the initiative in important decisions. You don't ask, "What do you want to do?" expecting her to decide everything. You propose. "I have 2 ideas for the weekend. We could go hiking in the mountains or try that new restaurant you mentioned. Which do you prefer?" You're giving options, but you're leading. You're demonstrating that you have vision, that you have direction, and that creates security. Polarity needs 2 poles. If you become neutral, without direction, without initiative, the attraction dies. Seventh, scarcity of qualified attention. You are not available 100% of the time. You are focused on your goals, your projects, your mission. When she asks for your attention for something trivial, in the middle of something important, you don't drop everything immediately. You finish your task. Then, you give her your full attention. This isn't neglect. It's a demonstration of priorities. Men of value have a mission, and the mission cannot always be interrupted. This increases your perceived value and creates what she truly wants, a man with his own purpose. Now I'm going to show you how this works in practice. Carlos, 42 years old, a successful executive. He was always the provider. To please his wife, he gave in to all her demands for luxury and time. She wanted an expensive purse. He bought it. She wanted to dine at a 5-star restaurant every week. He took her. He sacrificed time from his hobbies, his friends, his gym, all for her to be happy. And she complained, constantly. She said he wasn't romantic enough, that life was boring, that he didn't understand her. Carlos doubled his efforts. More gifts, more dinners, less time for himself. The result? Financial and emotional exhaustion. His wife lost all respect for him. She saw him as an ATM with no backbone. Her dissatisfaction grew until the relationship imploded. Carlos didn't understand. He thought he did everything right. But he didn't. He failed every test. He never set boundaries. He never led. He served. And a servant doesn't inspire desire. Ricardo, 35 years old, a teacher. Married for 8 years. He always strived to be a good husband. He helped with all household chores, cared for the children with dedication. His wife, even with all the help, constantly criticized him. She said he didn't do things the right way, that he was lazy, that he never took initiative. Ricardo tried to do more. He apologized for his failures. He tried to figure out the right way to do things. Nothing changed. He felt like an employee in his own home. His wife's attraction to him completely died. She saw him as weak, without initiative. The marriage became a routine without passion, without respect. Ricardo believed the problem was the amount of effort, but the problem was his posture. He reacted to criticism with submission. He never established that constant disrespect was unacceptable. He lost his frame, and with that, he lost everything. Felipe, 29 years old, a developer. He was dating a woman he was deeply in love with. He was obliging 24 hours a day. He responded to messages instantly. He canceled plans with friends to see her. He was always available, always attentive. After a few months, she started to complain. She said he was clingy, had no life of his own, that the relationship felt lukewarm. Felipe was confused. He tried to be even more attentive. More messages, more gifts, more availability. She broke up with him. She said there was no chemistry, that he was nice, but not what she was looking for. Felipe was devastated. He didn't understand what he did wrong, but the answer is simple. He demonstrated total scarcity. He had no life of his own. He had no mission. He was predictable, always available, always giving in. There was no tension. There was no polarity. And without polarity, there is no attraction. Do you recognize any of these patterns? Probably yes, because you're making the same mistakes. I'm now going to list the reactive errors that are destroying your dynamic. First error, immediately giving in. Every time you try to resolve her dissatisfaction with more effort or sacrifices, you lose. You validate the pressure. You reinforce her testing behavior. You demonstrate that you have no boundaries. Respect drops. Attraction dies. Second error, arguing logically. She is emotionally activated. You try to use reason and facts. You think that if you explain well enough, she'll understand, but you're trying to solve an emotional equation with math. It doesn't work. She feels misunderstood. You feel frustrated and devalued. The conflict escalates. Third error, taking full blame. You internalize her dissatisfaction as a personal failure. You believe that if you were better, stronger, more successful, she would be happy. So you demand more of yourself. You push yourself harder. You enter emotional exhaustion and destructive self-exigency. And the feeling of never being good enough devours you. Fourth error, seeking validation. You do things hoping she will finally value you, thank you, recognize you. You become dependent on her approval. When validation doesn't come, resentment grows. You are chasing her satisfaction. And the more you chase, the further she pulls away. Fifth error, threatening or retaliating. You respond with anger, with threats, with punitive silence. You want her to feel what you feel, but this escalates the conflict. It destroys trust. It creates a hostile environment. You lose emotional control, and with that, you lose the game. Sixth error, avoiding conflict. You ignore the signs. You shy away from difficult conversations. You want to maintain peace at all costs. But the problem doesn't disappear, it silently worsens. Resentment grows on both sides. The connection deteriorates until nothing is left. Now I'm going to give you the action protocol. This isn't theory, it's the operational map. First step, decode the complaint. Whenever she expresses dissatisfaction, ask yourself, is this a genuine request or a test of boundaries? Most of the time, it's a test. She's checking if you have structure. Differentiate real need from unconscious manipulation. This changes everything. Second step, anchor your frame. Stay calm, maintain your perspective. Refuse to be dragged into emotion or guilt. You are not responsible for managing her emotions. You are responsible for managing yours. Preserve your integrity. Do not yield to emotional control. Third step, communicate clear boundaries. Express what is acceptable and what is not. Do this calmly, firmly, without aggression. Define the playing field. Protect your space. This is not selfishness. It is self-respect, and self-respect generates external respect. Fourth step, invest in yourself first. Redirect energy and time to your goals, your hobbies, your growth. This increases your perceived value. This reduces your dependence on her validation. You become more interesting, less predictable, more attractive. Fifth step, reward the positive, not the negative. Give attention and affection when she demonstrates respect, appreciation, constructive behavior. Withdraw attention when she is in attack or manipulative mode. You are conditioning the dynamic. You are teaching what works. Sixth step, assume leadership. Make decisions with confidence, initiate actions, demonstrate your vision for the relationship and for life. This reestablishes masculine polarity. This creates the sense of security she seeks through direction, not through submission. You have a choice now. You can continue doing what you've always done. Give in, try harder, seek validation. Hope that one day she'll finally be satisfied. And you know what will happen. Tomorrow will be like today. A year from now, you'll be even more exhausted, even more devalued, even more trapped in the same dynamic. Her dissatisfaction won't decrease. It will increase because you keep reinforcing the pattern. You keep failing the tests. You keep demonstrating that you lack structure. Or you can choose differently. You can start today. You can identify the next test that comes. And instead of reacting with submission, you can maintain your frame. You can establish a clear boundary. You can redirect your energy and observe what happens. It won't be easy. She might escalate. She might test even more. Because you're changing the rules of the game. But if you hold firm, something changes. Respect begins to return. Polarity begins to reestablish itself. And genuine satisfaction becomes possible. This isn't about manipulating her. It's about managing yourself, your reactions, your value, your integrity. A man of integrity leads. He has boundaries. He inspires respect. And when you become that man, the dynamic changes. Not because you controlled her, but because you controlled yourself. Perhaps you're thinking, This sounds selfish. I love her. I want her to be happy. And I tell you, true love includes self-respect. It includes the ability to inspire the best in another. Her happiness cannot be your only metric, especially if it's conditioned on your subservience. You are not helping her when you erase yourself. You are enabling a destructive dynamic. Perhaps you're thinking, what if she leaves me for setting boundaries? And I answer you, if she leaves you because you value yourself and have boundaries, she wasn't interested in you. She was interested in what you could offer without resistance. And that's not a relationship, that's exploitation. The boundary is the necessary filter for a healthy relationship. Perhaps you're thinking, my wife is different. She really needs more attention, more help. And I tell you, each person is unique, yes, but the dynamics of attraction and polarity are archetypal. What seems like a need might be an unconscious search for leadership. Test the protocol, see what happens. You might be surprised. Here's the final truth. The relationship is already a power dynamic, often unbalanced. You are not starting a war by setting boundaries. You are restoring balance. You are creating the possibility of healthy polarity. And healthy polarity is what generates genuine passion, mutual respect, and lasting satisfaction. Passion doesn't come from predictability. It doesn't come from constantly trying to please. It comes from polarity. It comes from mystery. It comes from a man who has a strong frame and cannot be easily controlled. Boundaries and a masculine frame can reignite the flame you thought had died. You have the map now. You know what's wrong. You know what to do. The question is, will you act? Or will you continue repeating the same pattern, expecting a different result? That's the definition of insanity. And you are not insane. You are capable. You just need to choose. Choose one of the steps from the protocol. Just one. Apply it in your next interaction. When the test comes, and it will come, you maintain your frame. You establish your boundary. You redirect your energy. And then you observe. Don't expect instant change. Expect resistance. But stay the course, because you are rebuilding something that has been corroded. And rebuilding takes time. After your first experience, come back here, share in the comments what happened, which step you applied, how she reacted, how you felt. Your experience can help other men who are in the same trench, and you will realize that you are not alone. Thousands of men are living the same dynamic, making the same mistakes, and needing the same awakening. Time is passing. Every day you repeat, the old pattern is one less day of a healthy relationship. It's one more day of exhaustion, of devaluation, of erosion of your masculine identity. You cannot recover lost time, but you can change course starting now. Her dissatisfaction won't disappear on its own. She will continue testing. She will continue seeking the ideal temperature on the emotional thermostat. And if you keep trying to fix the temperature by reacting to every demand, you will keep burning yourself out. But when you adjust your own heat, when you maintain your structure, when you lead with confidence and set clear boundaries, the environment changes. And with the environment, the dynamic changes. This is not a guarantee that everything will resolve itself. Sometimes the relationship is beyond repair. Sometimes there are real problems that no protocol can solve. Sometimes both of you need professional help. This does not replace therapy when necessary, but in most cases, the dynamic can be reversed. Respect can be regained. Polarity can be reestablished. If you do your part, if you stop erasing yourself, if you reclaim your masculine structure, you deserve a relationship where you are valued, where your effort is recognized, where there is mutual respect and genuine passion. But you won't achieve that by being a doormat. You won't achieve that by giving in to every demand. You will achieve it by being a man of value, who knows how to lead, who has clear boundaries, and who inspires admiration. That man is inside you. He just needs to be awakened. The decision is yours. Continue the old pattern and accept the consequence. Or change today and start building the dynamic you want. There is no middle ground. You are either reinforcing a pattern or changing it. There is no neutrality. Every interaction is a vote for the type of relationship you will have. Apply the protocol, observe, adjust, persist, and come back here to share. Because your journey can light the way for other men. And together, we can break the cycle of chronic dissatisfaction that destroys so many relationships. Change starts with one man, with one decision, with one action, and that man can be you, now.